Yeah, right, Brimstone. Don't talk to me about Brimstone. I know what I smell wasn't from Brimstone. Didn't come from no stone neither. Brimstone, released in 2016 and is directed by Martin Kulhoven, who is also behind such films like Amnesia, Schnitzel Paradise, and Winter in Wartime. And this film is starring Dakota Fanning, Kit Harrington, Reese Van Houten, Amelia Jones, and Guy Pearce, who is one creepy-ass motherfucker. And the reason why we're talking about Brimstone today is because it was a PayPal recommendation and donation from one of my biggest supporters on this channel. Autumn Blood is here again with another rec, and I gotta say, this was a really excellent movie. It's a really hard movie to watch, though. That's kind of the theme of this week so far. These are great films that are just really frickin' hard to watch because nothing good or happy happens at all to this character. At all. Like nothing. At all! I had to put down my girl cat earlier this week, which was really hard for me to do, and here is a movie about just all of this darkness and hardness and hell. Even the girl goes out and slaughters one of the pigs, because that's what you need to do on a farm, and I hated seeing that, especially with what happened to me earlier this week. Oh god. Ugh, this movie's really good. It's just really hard. The film takes place in the Old West. Liz is a midwife living on a farm with her husband and 2 children. But one day, a scary hellfire and brimstone preacher comes to town, played by Guy Pearce. And you can tell Liz, who is mute by the way, knows exactly who this preacher is, and they have a pretty dark past with each other. And soon we realize that this preacher man has come to town to extract vengeance upon her and her entire family. And as she does everything in her power to keep her family safe and to evade this preacher man, we travel back in time of Liz's life to see all the hardships that she's had over time and find out why this preacher man is after her. And that aspect of the movie is actually very interesting. This movie is an interesting way to tell this story because we start in present time when people have scars and stuff, and then once bad things happen, the screen goes to black and we move to the next chapter, and we are going back in time just a couple of years. And then once the events of that time period and that act happen, we go back even farther in time for the 3rd act. The events of that happen, and then in the 4th act we go all the way back to the very beginning to present day, and we figure out how that whole story wraps up. It's a very interesting way to tell a story. Typically with nonlinear structure, what you would have is something in present day, and then throughout the story we would go back at certain points in our main character's past life to figure out, oh, hey, something happened to me in present time, that makes me think of something that happened in my childhood, in my youth. And then we go back and the story continues, and then another thing sends us back into the past. But not with this movie. This movie is perfectly segregated into present, a little in the past, more in the past, and then all the way to the present and to the future. It's almost to the point where you completely forget exactly what happens in present day because we spend so much time in the past. But every time we go farther in the past, Guy Pearce's character gets one less scar, but in some way becomes creepier and creepier and creepier. This preacher man, who is only listed as the Reverend in this film, is one of the scariest people I have ever seen in movies. This man will stop at nothing to extract vengeance upon this woman. And I'm on the edge of my seat trying to figure out, why is he wanting to do this? What did this woman, who can't speak, she has no tongue, what did this person do to you? And the farther back we go, we get a little bit more information, and then a little bit more information, till you finally realize, like, oh, okay, that's why. Wow, you are a creepy motherfucker! The movie reminded me a lot of another recommendation, actually, Autumn Blood, that you sent in a couple of months ago called The Night of the Hunter, which is critically acclaimed, and it's a classic movie that really everyone reveres. It just didn't sit well with me, though. I did not like that movie at all. But this movie is basically the same situation, other than with that hunter and that classic film going after just children. Well, in this one he's going after children and this woman. This movie is much better than that one and tells that story, that hunting vengeance story, much better than that one. This movie was written by its director Martin Woolhoven, and it's an original story, but It's, I don't know. This is pretty plagiarized from Night of the Hunter. You even have callbacks to Night of the Hunter in this film, where Liz and her children are in the carriage and they're riding through the snow and the mist and the fog, and you can't see anything. But all of a sudden you hear the preacher man, the Reverend, start singing a gospel tune, and they're in the mountains, so you don't know exactly where he's at, but you hear him. He could be miles away, he could be right behind them, you don't know. Very similar to what Night of the Hunter had, with the preacher man in that one just riding on the horizon, and you hear him singing gospel tunes as well. Very eerily similar. Oh, but it's original work, trust me. But kudos go to Guy Pearce for delivering one of the creepiest performances I've ever seen. This man is not a man of God. There is no good bone in his body. Not a single decision makes me, relate and empathize with this character. He is disgusting. He is evil. And he's the perfect antagonist. But also big props need to be given to Dakota Fanning, because at points in here, there are points where she does have her tongue, and you go along with her story there, and then you see why she loses her tongue, and you can see the resolve of this character, the determination to, I don't care what I need to do, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to my body, and take whatever situation to survive. I'm a survivor, and that's what this character is. This character is a survivor, and it's inspiring in a lot of ways, but it's also just really depressing. There isn't one single great thing that happens to this girl. From the time that she was a kid all the way to the ending of this movie, there is not a single damn thing that happens to her that is great, or that is good, or puts a smile on her fucking face. It's almost like her entire life is in purgatory, and all these terrible things are just happening to her, and she's just persevering through it. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh my god, how are you doing this, woman? Personally, I would have given up like a couple of acts ago. It's well directed, it's well shot, it's a great story, it's a depressing story, it's a terrible story, but it's a great story too. Kit Harrington is also in here. I have to mention his name because it's a name. Really, he does nothing in this movie. He doesn't advance plot at all, really. I guess maybe kind of, sort of. Basically, it's like the Game of Thrones Red Wedding for his character in this movie. He's there, and then he's not. But he's a name, so he's on the poster. Like the previous film earlier this week called Purge, this is a great film, but I really have no urge to go back and watch it. But it is fantastic. I can't take that away from it. This has been a terrible week for me personally, just with me having to put down my cat, dealing with cancer for several months. I'm speechless. I don't know. It's just been a hard thing, and then having to watch movies like these past two and this one. It's just like, oh my god, when is the good things gonna happen? I do thank you, Autumn Blood, for recommending this movie, though, because I probably never would have watched it ever. When I see the words Old West, I immediately kind of shut off, but this is not your standard Western. It's not, cowboys and what would have been Indians, but cowboys and Native Americans. It's not that at all. Just people in the Old West trying to make a living, and this preacher man coming along and extracting vengeance on them. It is excellent, though, and it's a great reasoning for me this is why I'm not a Christian anymore. Because of men and characters like this, who preach the word of God, but do the exact opposite in their actions, and then ask for forgiveness. Oh boy. Nope, not for me. I'm gonna give Brimstone 4 out of 5 Blu-rays.
I like it a lot.
Alright everyone, now comes my favorite part of my videos where I pick which movie I'm going to be watching next, and like I said before, these have been 2 back-to-back really hard movies to watch, especially in a week where it's been so hard for me and my family, having to put down my cat, who is just near and dear to my heart. She is my child, and I miss her so much, and it's only just been a couple of days. But I think it's high time for some laughs and some levity, so I have a PayPal recommendation from Dr. Camp that we're going to check out on Friday, because you know what? The film is called Friday. Bye, Felicia. And that's the only thing I know from this movie, because I've never actually seen it. But I know it's a staple from the mid-90s. Like everyone, like my friends, my family members, everyone has seen this thing and loves this thing. But it's definitely apparent to me now, like in my older years, just realizing just how racist my parents were. We had nothing, no art related to black culture at all in our household. We couldn't listen to hip-hop, we couldn't watch BET, we couldn't really watch anything that had black characters at the center of it. At least like a huge black cast at all. So, yeah, let's get some culture, shall we? So guys, if you've seen Brimstone, what did you think about it? Or if you've never seen it before and you stumbled across it because of this video, then comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell. See you the next time I release my next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time with my review of Friday. So in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.